All right. How's everyone doing today? Thanks for so much for taking the time to come check out some of the new things we've got going on at Cephable. I've only got basically 30 minutes scheduled to get through all this stuff, but there's so many awesome things that are new to the platform in version 3.1 that I want to make sure I try to show you all of it. And for the things that I might not get to, please feel free to throw questions in the chat. Join us in Discord to ask your questions there. And of course, join the rest of the community in sharing all the ways that people are using Cephable, ask questions of the team, and everything else, and sort of connecting with the community. But I want to make sure we've got enough time to jump into all this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We've got Julia in the chat. I've got Cordelia in the chat. So I see a few of the Cephable folks here. Bring in your questions. We'll make sure we get them answered during the live stream. So don't be shy. Let me switch over to what's going on here and into the new Cephable app. Now, there's a bunch of stuff I want to show you. There's new features for Cephable Personal, our free version. We have an all-new Cephable Plus, which is a much more approachable price point for people that want to get started with some of the AI features. We also have tons of new AI features across all three of our versions from Cephable Personal, Plus, and Professional. And I'm excited to show you all of them. But I'm going to start today here in the Cephable Windows app for our Mac users. These are all going to be the same features, so don't worry, you're not missing out. And I'll be able to share some of the details and some of the new performance updates for Mac users too. But I'm on Cephable Personal on my little demo free account. You can see that now at the top. And for those who have been using Cephable for a while, including even just our most recent version 3, you'll notice there's a little bit of a difference in layout. So there's some new, easier to navigate to things on the side here in this little side menu, so you can quickly get back to your dashboard. You can jump into explore your app controls, including your custom ones and all the ones that are available to you. You can also look at upgrade paths in order to get access to things like Cephable Plus, Professional. If you're an educator, especially in the K through 12 space, you can get access to the education version, and even for developers to be able to jump into trying out the SDKs. And of course, if you have a license key, you can activate it here to upgrade as well. If you're looking for things like your account settings and sign out, those are now in the top right, including your notifications too, so you can get to these super easily by just hovering over your little icon here. Same with your language switching. So some of the stuff that used to be at the very bottom, kind of tucked away, a little bit easier to get to now. Now also I can pop out the panel here, which we introduced in version 3 as the new sort of interface for interacting. You'll notice that there's a couple new things here. We have quick actions, which are contextual buttons that help me do quick actions in whatever app that I'm in, as well as intelligent tasks, which are unique for professional users. And so because I'm on a free user here, you'll see that I get this prompt to upgrade. What's cool is that I can go ahead and do that, and I can start a trial and I can jump in from there to using some of these new features too. Now, a couple things, because there's even more stuff going on in the panel, we introduced some quick settings that makes it easier to customize. So let's say, for example, you're not using camera controls, or maybe you don't need to see the list of global and device controls because you have them memorized now, or maybe you don't need to see the app controls. There's an easy new setting in general app settings where you can customize those things. So for example, I'll turn off the camera controls and global device controls, and I'll go ahead and save that. And now those settings are gone in my panel, and it's a lot sort of smaller, more concise, and I can sort of see the things that matter the most to me. Now, there's also some new features that we've brought from the professional version into the free version too. Most notably, it's the automatic control switching. For those of you who have been in the professional version, you know what this does. This allows Cephable to automatically switch your current controls based off of the app that you're currently in or the most recent app that you were in. So for example, if I come down here and open up Microsoft Word and pull it over here, you can see that it switched to my Microsoft Word controls. I didn't have to do anything special in order to interact with that. So I can switch between my apps, have Cephable switch between them, but that also means for things like my quick actions, these also switch. So let's say, for example, I pull up my to-do list. Well, now I can see it will switch over to my to-dos or my different buttons and my different controls based off of the apps that I'm switching around in. I switch back to Word. Here's my Word ones. I can create a new document. I click the button and it does the thing for me. So not only is it these easy set of buttons that I can interact with, but it's actually an option here that you can explore too, which has all of the app controls as a button. So like in apps like Microsoft Word, there's so many things you can do. For smaller apps like Microsoft To Do, that might be a shorter list that you don't have to worry about so much. But in some of these bigger apps that you have controls built for, you'll have the ability to click on any of these things. Like for example, if I wanted to go to the layout tab, I click the button here. You saw that it switched to my layout tab over here in the document that I was in. All sorts of cool stuff that you can do with these quick actions. Now these are also especially designed for touchscreen. So if you're on like a Windows laptop that has a touchscreen, super easy to just tap the side of the little tab here for the Cephable panel, and you've got these little buttons here at your disposal, making it easier to just sort of get those common actions done. You can also customize these actions in your app controls at any time. So let me close some of this stuff out of the way and show you exactly how to do it. Let's say, for example, I'm going to actually switch over to Outlook because I'm going to show you like a real world use case that I use all the time, which is when I need to start a new email. I want to create different templates for the types of messages that I'm going to send. And so in order to do that, I can go into my custom controls, create a new control, and I'll add a voice control and I'll say like intro me. And so now I can have it type. Another new nice little feature here is we have the ability to have the multi-line text for typing. So for example, I'll grab something I've already typed here. A little introduction of myself makes it really easy to add more complex templates to have Cephable automatically type it. Now I can also go in here and add a quick action button for this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that by clicking add input. I'm going to say intro template as the button. And when I hit save and finish, that just popped open over here, which means that if I jump over into a new email and pop this out, I can click in here, click intro template, and it types it out for me. So great sort of use of the sort of non-Cephable traditional inputs, right? I don't have to use my voice for this. I've got another way to interact with it. But of course, because I did set up a voice control, I could always use that command in order to interact with it as well. And have these more complex templates for emails, for documents, for all sorts of stuff. Super easy to add into your different app controls. So curious to know what types of templates you guys are hoping to see and hoping to use, because we got asked about this feature quite a lot, especially in things like email and Word documents and stuff. But where else would you like to use these sort of like longer form templates and quick action buttons? I even think to like playing games and having a quick message template that I send to my team, maybe in chat or something like that. Or maybe I'll even update it for the next time I do this live stream to send my classic, like, we'll be starting in a few minutes, type of message. So now that we've sort of covered all the sorts of fun free stuff, automatic control switching, now free, you don't have to pay for that. You get more app controls available to you. Quick action buttons are available for all users. Let's talk about Cephable Plus, because we got asked about an easier way to get into some of the AI features, and you don't necessarily need all the robust Cephable AI features, mainly for things like intelligent voice commands and intelligent dictations features that are available in your microphone settings. These are now available at Cephable Plus, not at the full Cephable Professional price point. Of course, if you're using Professional, you get all of the things in Plus and then some stuff. So you can see, for example, in my microphone settings that I've got intelligent voice commands and dictation here as plus options. And if I go ahead and click on the plus option, I can see that I've got the chance to upgrade. I did want to show you the pricing for that, because you can, of course, start a free trial just like you could for Professional, or you can go directly to purchase, which just pulled out over here. The pricing for Cephable Plus is going to be $10 a month if you're paying monthly, or $8 a month if you pay yearly. So a much more approachable price point to get some of these new dictation features, new intelligent voice command features, without having to pay the $300 a year or $30 a month version of Cephable Professional. But there's still a lot of now really cool stuff that I want to show you that's specific to Cephable Professional too. So I'm going to switch accounts, show you some of the new things, especially some of these intelligent tasks, and all the different ways that you can use Cephable now. So give me just a sec. I'm going to switch over so you can see me here. I'm going to sign out and sign into a different account. I see, Mary, your question, can you have it automatically type something like your name and email address or something? Absolutely. You've been able to do that even before the multi-line feature. That type feature has always been there, but now you can do it with more complex templates. So it makes it quite a bit easier to fill out like emails, documents. There's no limit in sort of how long you can really make that template. So adding as many as you want, make them as long as you want, add buttons for them, add voice commands for them, things like that. Makes it super easy. Okay, I am now signed into a professional user, and hopefully you're seeing that. So now at the top you can see I'm in Cephable Professional. I no longer have to see that upgrade feature because I'm in the sort of like biggest version of Cephable that there is. So there's some new things that we have. Of course, you still have your quick action buttons. Not only that, but because Cephable Professional has access to hundreds of different applications, every single one of those has pre-built quick action buttons. Plus, of course, you have the entire all app controls list here too. So you'll notice now I have my Microsoft To Do feature because that's in the professional package. So as I pop this up, I can do things like create a new list, even if it's something simple like a grocery list, which we'll come back to later. I've got these sort of quick action buttons at my disposal. You'll also notice because I've signed into a different account, my settings changed, so I'm back to my other panel stuff. So my camera's back, my global device controls are back, but of course I can go in and change those at any time. Now, the biggest new features for Cephable Professional are what we are calling intelligent tasks. So these are unique only to Professional. They're sort of like the bigger upgrade from Plus. Of course, like I mentioned before, Cephable Professional users get all the features in Plus, all the features in Free, and then some. So it's more profiles, you get all the intelligent voice commands for natural speaking through commands. You get intelligent dictation, all the awesome automatic formatting, which we've shown off plenty of times before that came out with the version 3.0 launch. But now these intelligent tasks allow you to do things like generate, rewrite, and translate text. And what's really cool about how we're approaching this is, this is our biggest sort of lift in our AI features. Of course, everything we do from speech recognition to commands across the apps are doing AI, but these are completing much more complex tasks. So you can do things like generate text, which you've been able to do in the previous version, in version 3, using a voice command, which you can still do. So you can still say generate and then something like that. And now you can actually just use the generate task here. So if it's easier to type, add more context, paste in some information, you can do that. So I'm going to actually go ahead and show you some samples here where I can generate text, I can rewrite it, I can translate it between languages in a bunch of different ways. So one of the things that we do all the time here at Cephable is we are big fans of product requirements documentations, which means that we talk about what's required for new features before we ship them. And we use a lot of Markdown in order to do that. And so I just pulled up this random web app in order to show it, because I know in the last few streams I've showed off a lot of stuff in Microsoft Word just to show you Cephable typing things automatically. And we get asked all the time, like, oh, is this like just for Word? An important thing to note about all of Cephable's typing features, whether it's dictation, whether it's those templates like I just showed in Outlook or anywhere else, or these intelligent tasks, they can run anywhere. You can use the keyboard. So any app, any website, any tool on your machine. But more importantly, that these new AI features are running 100% on device, meaning you can provide entirely sensitive data, private information to it. Does not matter. Nobody will see it because it never leaves your own computer for processing, for storage, for tracking the history of it. That never leaves your machine. No one at Cephable sees it. It's not stored in Cephable servers. It's not sent to another cloud-based AI tool like ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini. It is 100% on device. So let me show you what some of this stuff can do. I'm going to go ahead and ask it to generate a product requirements document template using Markdown for some new features actually that we're working on right now. So I'll say create a product requirements document template for our new onboarding features that will teach users how to use Cephable's AI more easily. And go ahead and click generate. Now again, it'll start going through this process and start writing immediately for me once the model's warmed up. So it's going through creating these templates. It's going ahead and using Markdown because I'm in a Markdown editor, writing out some of the different details in these different formats. If you've used the text generation feature before in version 3 with the voice command, you might notice that this new version is much faster. What we found is that this new version that's optimized for every specific type of device. We've got a model that works specifically for Copilot Plus PCs with Snapdragon, for Macs with M1 chips, for Intel-powered PCs, for whatever sort of use cases you have. Go ahead and pause this so I can do some more editing against it. We have new optimized models that we're running that get downloaded initially the first time you use them and then stored offline. so that we're seeing between 10 to 15 times faster writing than we saw in the last version. So if you're using Cephable for text generating, it's going to go so much faster than it was before, regardless of what type of device you're on. For example, on Mac OS, we're now making use of their neural engine for faster processing of these tokens. On Copilot Plus PCs, this is using the neural processing unit, which I'm on right now. So it's using a Snapdragon NPU. And yes, AI voice is also much faster. Thank you, Shristi. Like all of our AI stuff, it's just so much faster. And again, it's 100% on device. Now, you don't need to have the absolute latest and greatest. You don't need a fully beefed up MacBook Pro. You don't need a fully beefed up Intel AI PC like Lunar Lake or the most expensive laptop out there in order to run these. We even have version of these models that are optimized just for CPU to be able to run on the sort of like mid-market size devices and capabilities devices. Now, if you're on a higher end device, it's going to be a little bit faster. So that's the trade-off. But you can basically use this on just about any laptop from the last 5 years or so. And we have a whole bunch of other devices we're testing on to sort of figure out what the performance looks like. But if you have a CPU, if you have a GPU, if you have an NPU, if you've got something else, we'll be able to optimize Cephable's AI to be able to run on that. So text generation, not entirely new to Cephable because we've been doing it before, but pretty cool to be able to do it from the panel. Let's talk about some of these other tasks with things like rewriting. For example, if I wanted to do something like take facial recognition familiarization, this detail here, I can ask Cephable to rewrite it. I can use the highlighted text that I have highlighted here. I can also copy and paste text that I wanted to rewrite. So maybe I'm like taking text from one app, but I want it rewritten in another app instead of rewriting in its place. That's basically the difference. So because I'm going to use the highlighted text here, it's going to actually write over what I have highlighted. So maybe I'll say something like, add a little more detail to this, like about how the face processing is also always on device. And go ahead and click generate. So it switches back over to my stack edit, takes the text that was there, and is now starting to write out more information like I asked it to. So it's diving into a little bit more detail about how the facial data is private, and it'll keep going as much as the detail it determines is needed. So I can write that again in any app. I'm just over here in the browser. Again, I'll stop that so it doesn't need to keep going. But really cool use case for all sorts of things. Like I can say, dictate an entire paragraph and then ask Cephable to rewrite it in a list format, and it'll write it in a list. Another common thing that we see is people like creating lists but adding more flair to it, asking Cephable to make it sound more professional, or the opposite, make it sound a little bit more snarky if you feel like it. But you can ask Cephable to rewrite it in any sort of form that you need to. Even if, like, for example, you had something like you dictated and it didn't pick it up right, you could like highlight the entire paragraph and ask Cephable to rewrite it and like fix the spelling of something and describe how it needs to be spelled, and it'll do that. And of course, just like everything with Cephable, just because it's available in the panel here to do with typing into these different inputs, you can also do it with your voice. So you can highlight text, say rewrite and turn this into a list, or rewrite and add more details to this, or whatever you might need to do. So all of that is awesome. I can now generate text. I can dictate text. I can take text that Cephable didn't originate too, right? I can take an existing document that's just existed and have Cephable edit it for me. It doesn't have to be text that came from Cephable in the first place. But you can also translate text. So for example, I've got this text still highlighted here. I can jump over now to this translate text and ask Cephable to translate it between different languages. There's 24 different languages it supports, so everything from Spanish and French and German and Italian and Japanese, like our voice command support, but also even more than that. And just like with rewrite, I can use the highlighted text and Cephable will rewrite it in that different language in its place. Or again, I can take text and paste it in and have Cephable write the translated version somewhere else. So maybe I have, for example, one document in English, I start a new document and I want Cephable to translate that into Spanish. Great. Other awesome use cases for this is if you're working with international colleagues and you write your email in English like I would, and then you translate it into the other language that they're more familiar with, you can do that right in Outlook or whatever the app is. So it doesn't have to be in a Word doc, it doesn't have to be in the app where you originated it from. It could be anywhere. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. So I'm going to use the highlighted text and I'm just going to ask Cephable to translate it to Spanish and go ahead and click generate. And again, it jumps over back into the app. and it'll take that text that was just there and it's going to start rewriting it into Spanish. And now this isn't just translating from English into other languages. It can translate across any of those different 24 languages. So it can do things from Spanish to French, Japanese to German, things like that. And the really cool thing about how this translation approach works is that it's not just like using Google Translate where there's a lot of just like one-to-one word comparison. It's taking in the context of like the tone, the way you're writing, what the content is around it in order to best represent it in that language in the same way that you would actually write it if you were native speaking in that language. So pretty cool stuff. I'd love someone who speaks Spanish to validate this because my high school Spanish is not quite up to par in comparing it. But really cool. So the couple other cool things, by the way, you can do with translation is that it's not just spoken language to spoken language. We've started to play with the ability to translate from other formats. So being able to say, write code in JavaScript and then highlight it, copy it over, and then ask Cephable to translate it into C# or so typed in the wrong place. Or type it, into C++ or something like that. So you can have Cephable translate code languages, formatting languages, actual spoken and written languages, and all sorts of different things, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Kevin, let me know if this turned out to be the same or good enough. So from our test, it seems to. So all sorts of awesome stuff. Thank you. Seems correct with more casual versus professional context too. Great. Thanks, Tristy. So awesome new stuff that you can do with generating. Now, the other cool thing, again, this works in any type of app. So this isn't just about writing documents or, generating templates. It's anywhere you could otherwise type, including things like, I'll close this out. Let's go back to our grocery list. And I'm going to go ahead and actually ask Cephable to create a grocery list for me. A grocery list for a summer backyard party for 5 people or something, and go ahead and click generate. And it's going to do that right in Microsoft To Do and create my different list items here for me to be able to go check off. So it's not just writing these different documents, it's giving me the different units, it's using reasoning in order to figure out the right types of things that I might want to need for that type of request that I have, and it's doing it directly into my Microsoft To Do. So there's no integration required for Microsoft To Do. You don't have to have custom control set up for it. I'll go ahead and stop it so it doesn't just keep going and give me more things that I got to go buy for my weekend party. But anywhere you can type, Cephable can generate text for you. You can dictate text. You can rewrite text, and you can translate text, which is also pretty awesome stuff. So that is, let me make sure I'm sort of covering all the main stuff I want to do. Some of the core things that we're doing, it's generative AI that actually knows about the app you're in, the context of who you are and what you're doing, and making it easy to just get those things done faster, while still giving you as a person the ability to own it and manage it, and not having it be some AI that's going and just totally executing things on your behalf without your ability to intercept. And it's doing it 100% on device in a secure and private way. I guess I'll pause there because I went through just so many of these new features, and there's so many little things that we didn't touch on, to see if there's any questions or thoughts from folks in the chat. Make sure I didn't miss anything, and see what folks are looking for next. From an EDU perspective, would it be possible to turn off text generation features if some universities are more hesitant because of that? Yeah, we are looking at ways to basically enable and restrict some of the AI features specifically for universities, because and not just universities, I guess, K through 12 schools as well. So there's definitely some question around the use of AI as like a cheating mechanism. That one, we're trying to help sort of dispel some of the misnomers about it. Because one of the things Cephable won't do is go out and do research on like a subject and generate a term paper for you and things like that. But it is meant to be more of an assistant in helping you write in the correct way. So what we're finding in some of our early conversations, that especially in higher education, that they're actually pretty cool with it, because it's not a cheat app like a lot of other AI tools are in the way that they're being marketed to students. It's actually being used to help students in smaller contexts get more things done, and they don't have to worry about the data privacy issues of using, aggregated giant cloud AI tools where if you're using like a professor's, technically copywritten and owned knowledge and materials and then feeding it to some AI, there's copyright issues there. All those issues go away that a lot of higher ed schools and even K through 12 schools have issue with. So we're actually seeing that it's less of a like, hey, I need to be able to turn this off, and it's more of a like, oh, this is the solution to being able to support students getting more things done more easily and empowering them to be focused on the learning side of it and less on the like how do you very specifically type this thing out. But always something we have to balance. Is there a way to hide the panel yet? Yeah, there's a little minimize button. Boop, gone. So panel hides away. You can click that. If you're looking to completely hide the tab, that is something that we're looking at. What that will likely end up being, this isn't like a full commitment yet, and to the engineers in chat, I promise it's not a commitment, is we might have an option to fully hide the entire little tab but keep it running. And what that'll do is actually put it in the system tray. So we want to make sure that you can still use it because you can toggle the panel from here. If I like, for example, hide like my dashboard settings, I can always right click this and pull it up again. But we're looking at a way where for folks that especially are more and more comfortable using Cephable and they just like use voice controls and they have it running in the background to have this like minimized version, like fully minimized. But otherwise, this is the best way to do it. You can hide it. A couple other things to note. You can also move this panel to different sides. So if for example, I'll go to my general app settings here. And where I was also changing the settings for what I wanted to have for my features in the panel, I can also move it to different sides of my monitor. So for example, if I move it to the left, now it just floated over here as you saw, and I can open it up from here and see all those same tasks and options and then collapse it into that left side, or you can move it to the top or bottom. You can dictate into the panel itself, correct? Yeah, of course you can. Again, anywhere you can use a keyboard, right? So you can dictate into the panel for like a rewrite task if you want. So you can take your time describing it if you didn't want to just use the voice command for it. You also can dictate into the Cephable view for writing those templates, for example. Like, so again, if I pop open my new email, oh, you know what? I did that on my free user. I did it on the free account, not my real account. Let me go show you that again. If I added a voice command, actually I'll just add a button for like intro or something like that, and I want it to type, you can dictate into this text field too. So anywhere you could use a keyboard, you can dictate into it with quick typing, so using the type command or with that dictation mode, which, speaking of, quick little fun update, there is a new view of your voice controls. I almost missed this. We heard from a lot of folks that it was hard to understand when you were in voice control mode versus like the full dictation mode. And we wanted to make that very obvious now. So instead of having that middle button to switch like we used to, now it's pause or settings here. And that settings, of course, will take you back over to your microphone settings. You can switch to the dictation and controls mode over here. And just as an example, where we had the quick dictation stuff before, or it's the where I was having the type stuff, just to show you that it can actually type there. Let me go ahead and add a display option here for intro, and then I'll hit next, and then I'll hit type, and then it'll actually type everything I just said right here. So there you go. There's my full view of my fully typed out thing, although it seems like there's some weird oddities with my beta version with this thing extending too far. But yes, you can dictate into the Cephable app anywhere using the microphone and the Cephable voice commands too. Great questions, by the way. Let's see. Kevin, getting together with one of us one-on-one, I would say send an email to support@cephable.com or send a request in the Discord to ask that, so we can get your contact info and see what it makes sense to, or how it makes sense to connect. It'll be easier to do that way. See, did I miss any other questions? Otherwise, I might have somehow squeezed all of these demos and new features into just under 30 minutes. I was worried about going well over. But just to kind of recap a few things, automatic control switching now available for free in the Cephable version. We have all new Cephable Plus starting at $10 a month monthly or $8 a month if you pay yearly, which gets you access to the intelligent voice commands and intelligent dictation features, more app controls. We also have the new quick action buttons that are available for all Cephable users for personal, plus, and professional. And we have the new intelligent task features for Cephable Professional for generating, rewriting, translating text into any app. So for those who have been following along and a part of the Cephable journey, thanks so much for the support. Thanks for all the great questions. Special shout out to our consortium and to our engineering team for working together to be able to bring all of these amazing new features to life and validate how they work and make sure that they're the best that they can be. And I'm so excited for all the new stuff that we have coming out. There's going to be an all new onboarding experience, all new features focused in Cephable Professional on workflow automation across your apps, and just so many other amazing things. We're also looking to expand on these other intelligent tasks into other features, from summarizing things to viewing your history of generated text to be able to use those more in templates more easily, and just so much more. So can't wait to see you all again in our next YouTube live stream when we're ready to show off some of those new features and what will be version 3.2. But thanks for learning more about what we've got in version 3.1. And let us know in Discord and via email, via however else you want to contact us, what you think, how it worked for you. And lastly and shamelessly, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're putting out new tutorial videos, new sample videos, and of course you'll get notified on any of these other live streams to show off some of the new features. So thanks so much.